Hey everybody, look who's here with me, John Paul Lavoisier. We're here at the Days of Our Lives social media studio, which is the coolest place. How are you? Have not seen you since Gelson's.
It's really strange to not see you at Gelson's, right? No, no. It was like it was like back to back bumping into you at Gelson's, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago,
Right.
give or take. Oh, actually, it might have been really close to 2 years.
And now you're in Salem.
And now I'm in
You've gone
Salem.
from Gelson's to Salem.
Yes.
So let me ask you this: you come back to the show a few times.
This is
a third time.
Third time. Yep.
Is this time feel any different to you coming? I know it's a different story, different writers. How is it coming back into it now?
Okay. The quick answer is a lot more comfortable than my first two times. The first time there was, which was 2015. The first time in 2015, there was I had a little bit of a roller coaster in my life at the time, and things were just I hadn't been in LA that long,
right.
Which it took quite a bit of time to get adjusted to.
Right.
So just in a personal kind of way, it was just a whirlwind, and the first time that I was at Days is actually a blur. It was like, it was so long ago, and I almost feel like I'm a slightly different person now, which is such a cliche.
Well, but 9 years later, right?
And it is 9 years later, so hopefully I'm a little different. Hopefully I've grown. Things have changed.
Right.
Yeah. So, and the second time that I was here, which was a year and a half ago, I knew that I was going to only be here for a short period of time, which actually turned out to be a little longer than I thought from the initial phone call. So that I never had a chance to get comfortable with, because I knew that it was extremely limited. And then also just the fact is, the production was still under certain guidelines,
right,
which made everything feel different, at least for me. From the first time I had been here in 15, there were no extra rules, and the second time I was here, there were a whole bunch of rules. So that made it feel extremely different, and I knew it was for a limited amount of time. So there was the comfort was difficult to find, and I knew that there was a close to it anyway. But this time, compared to those two, it's a lot more comfortable. And I don't mean safe; I just mean comfortable, because it's thicker, it's heavier, slightly more longevity. So I can I have an opportunity to understand even just the scheduling. I almost feel, looking back, and this is a John Paul issue,
right?
I had a slightly difficult time getting comfortable with the scheduling, the block, and the what time things happened, and this might happen now and this might happen later, and we kind of take lunch at this time, and because it was a little different from where I'd come from in New York. It was just different. But this time, I'm like, okay,
I understand.
Okay, I understand, which then makes it more comfortable. So I feel stronger
now.
As a performer and as a human being, I just feel stronger and comfortable.
That's great. And do you feel like now Philip's your own? Because remember, you had other Philips. There's been other Philips through the years.
Yeah.
And now do you feel like I'm Philip Kiriakis, as opposed to I'm filling in a role?
I've never, I purposely have stayed off of the
YouTube.
Though, yeah.
But a lot of actors that do step into roles that other actors have played do that. They stay away. Not everybody goes and does this infinite research.
Yeah. I just don't. When you're acting in a scene, at least for me, I have subtext and I have imagery. I have things going on in my head that are my own personal thing. And I fear that if I were to do too much past research and put too many things in my head, those might pop up. I don't want to see somebody else or something else that I wasn't a part of possibly affecting things. Because there are relationships, there are actors that I work with that have worked with the other people that
right.
played Philip.
Right.
And I know, and again, this is a this is a problem, but I don't even want to imagine what that actor might be seeing instead of me. I don't want to mess myself up. So the less I know, the better. Let's just start almost clean, clear, and free. And here's what I'm doing. I don't want to, and I would never, and I also wouldn't want to risk comparing myself talent-wise, almost like, ooh, they would have been better. They might have been better in the middle of a scene. They would have been doing it this way, and it's probably better. Or I don't want to try to leap or one up them. I don't want to try to be better than them. So just the less I know, we just do it. This is what we're going to do. And if production or if somebody adjustments are necessary, that's their call.
Their thing.
The direction and all that's their call. Here's
anybody,
what I'm doing.
Has anybody
what do you
come down
think?
and said, JP, knock it off?
Huh?
Has anybody come down and said, JP, knock it off?
It happened just today.
I see.
Yeah, it happened just
Do
today.
I know?
I don't want to say
I
too
know?
much, but there was a prop. I don't want to say too much.
Prop.
There was a prop. I was involved with a prop today, and they wanted to see less of it. I was showing a lot of it, and they said,
Less
JP,
prop.
can we see less of that? And I went, yeah, okay, but I can't say it now. But it was funny, and I think it'll be incredibly entertaining.
Okay. I want to say I have kudos for you because when you came back for the short time,
Yeah,
it was Victor's memorial.
Yeah,
and you get up and do that moment in front of the cast.
Yeah,
of like, I've lost my father.
Yeah,
which is when I wrote it up, just kind of a review of it for this. I was like, that was one of the most affecting moments of the entire thing. It was Philip breaking down as played by you. Was that moment like hard for you going in front of the cast to do that? Was it a moment you relished? I was on our John. What did you think? Because I remember that clearly in my head.
Lots to say. Incredibly intimidating because I'm in front of so much history. There's so much. We're all here because of so much history, right? And the sadness. And then I'm in front of all this talent, and we had done rehearsals, so there were a few people that had gone up. So you got to see other like it was. I couldn't help but feel inferior because, like, oh my God, and I was a visitor. I was only visiting too.
Right.
I knew I was only visiting, so it's like, do I have to play my moment, and I can't try to outdo or underdo. I can't. But you have to absorb what everybody else is doing. It was it was really thick. You could feel it. I mean, it felt real. It was very difficult. It was very difficult. And also last minute, I know it wasn't that long. One of the actors did so some of them did. There was some really good stuff.
Great stuff.
There was some really good stuff. It was all good stuff. It was some really good stuff. And, but last minute we blocked it. And okay, so we had received our script and some of my stuff got cut. I received cuts.
Oh, geez.
So when an actor received cuts, you cut them. Okay. And then and then sort of, they were put back in. My cuts were put back in day of, shortly before we taped them. So I had worked, I had done things at home and then removed them and then redone things at home. And then here day of had to put things back in and then go to my room and do it. So, and I think it was just one take as it often is. But I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how much I was going to do until I did it. And it ended up, I think it was great. It was wonderful. It hurt. Did you watch it? I don't
do that, right?
No, I don't. I don't like watching myself being upset. It upsets me. I don't like watching I can watch some humor, comedy and things, or maybe even neutral type stuff. But in my past, actually, I have taped. I don't like to see myself sad. It makes me sad. I can't watch me be sad. It was so I did not watch it. I did not watch it.
I understand.
But I watched other things. I did not watch myself.
Now, you worked with John Aniston. What was it like? What's your takeaway and your memory of him? Obviously, he's not been here for the whole time you've been here. But what was it like working with him as your dad in the time you did?
Like, I could just sit and anytime he invited me to come to his room to run lines, it was like, yes, oh good. Yes. Because it's chaotic in the hair and makeup room and in the hallways and things like that. But anytime I was gifted his time to be in his room, just sitting there talking man to man, telling stories with a closed door, and then we get to our lines.
He's the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, he felt like a relative. He felt like he felt like my dad. But a dad that you can't hate John Aniston, right? So any anger that Philip would ever have to have, that was acting, because I mean, it was just, he's just
Did he make
so
you
nice.
laugh?
I'm going to tell you something. He put something in my pocket for me that I carry around now for the rest of my life. And I have said this in print before. I don't know why, if he got it from somewhere, I don't know, but he's where I learned it. Him and I were running lines one time, and I said my line, and he went, yeah, but, and then he looked down at his page and he went, yeah, but, and I went, what? And he goes, and I'd say, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. So, yeah, but. I learned the phrase, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. So you're kind of,
yeah, but.
Yeah, but. Yeah, but we were Gelsons. Yeah, but. So that's how he would like start a line if he like, whatever. Anyway, so yebbits, I think maybe was what he said. So I learned that from him, which I will never forget. Yebbit. Yeah, it's a John Aniston thing. Yeah.
Yeah. When you heard he passed away, what did you think?
I didn't know. I can tell you exactly where I was when I learned. And unfortunately, I was in a room with lots of people, and I didn't.
Oh, that's where I know. I've had that happen.
I was in a room of 200 people. I was at this thing, and a stranger told me. I don't know how long. I don't know if it happened. I don't know if he passed the day before. It could have been an hour before. I don't know. All I know is I didn't know. And this person said, "How do you feel about John Aniston?" And I said, "What?" And she told me, and I went. I was speechless. I went, "I don't." And I had sort of it was I had obligations. Like I couldn't leave. And I couldn't have,
like, you can have a moment to absorb it. Right?
It was just shocking. I mean, it stopped me. It just punched me in the face. Horrible. Horrible.
But how cool! But how cool!
I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky.
How cool! Amazing.
There's a lot of people. We meet a lot of people in this life. He really is one on that short list of. I'm so glad I got to know him, at least for a little bit. I'm just so happy with the memories. After I received the information and could only sort of absorb it because of the chaos that I was around, I went home and thought about it a lot. I mean, I thought about it a lot. And then, of course, I was like, what's the show? And then once that landed, I went, what's the show going to do? What's the show going to do? Because I know there's such a big gap between writing and filming and shooting and all that and airing and all that stuff. So I was very much like, what's the show going to do? And then I found out then the call happened, like the memorial and stuff. Oh, okay. But what was really, and I say special just because it's sad, but it's special. And I'm grateful to, that it exists. That the last time I worked with John was Philip saying goodbye to him. I'll probably get a little teary. It's really creepy, right? And I think I'm right. Somebody could fact check me, but my last scene with John was we were having a heart-to-heart in a doorway, and we hugged. And I remember for some reason we had to hold the hug. They were for some camera or lighting. I remember holding the hug with John much longer than you would normally hold a hug ever. We had to hug, and then it was like, okay, wait, move. Now hug. Now just hold the hug. So I actually held a hug with John for an extra amount of time that you normally wouldn't hug your co-star. And that was the final time that I saw him. And it was just like, I think it was like, I love you too. You'll always be my son. Thanks, Dad. Yada, yada, yada. And so that was my last human interaction with John, which I just went, oh my God. Again, it's so, but I'm grateful that like, there's a warmth to it. It's kind of a nice closing instead of just like seeing somebody at Starbucks. Yeah, like, oh, hey, I saw you at Gelson's. Bye. It was actually that I can actually fall back into and live in. So,
amazing memory to have. To carry.
I mean, I literally can feel. It's like I can go right there. Yeah. So that's nice. That's nice.
It's very sweet to have that. Now I was saying Drake. I know you shared some scenes with him, and we were also saddened by his passing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering what your thoughts of what Drake has meant to the show, and any remembrance you have of him that he passed on to you or something? Because I've talked to so many of the actors that cast, and it's been just so heartbreaking for everybody. But I was wondering how you feel about his passing and working with him.
I unfortunately did not have the pleasure of knowing him nearly as well as many. But I will tell you, every single of the few moments I had with him, hilarious, spectacular. I'm not going to do it, but I can impersonate him when he's telling a story. I'm not going to do it because I don't want.
Okay.
But sometimes I will repeat. Sometimes I will repeat a Drake story, and there's a couple. It's about baseball,
Of course.
There's one story about I don't know if it was a Viper or there was a car that he told me a car driving story where he would drive it through the Malibu Canyon mountains real fast and taking his turns really fast and gunning it and trying to beat this or whatever. And I'm not going to do it, but I almost did. But the way he would go into these isms and these mannerisms, I don't know if anybody else has ever done it, but it's fun. And so I can do Drake a little bit. Like, this is how he would tell. I almost want to do it, but it was very animated. He was like so like he would get so passionate and so just in it. But he was still talking to you. Like he wasn't like he was like telling you this story, and this is the seriousness of the story, and then it was just and I remember a lot of times I'd be sitting on the floor. He'd be standing in a doorway, and I'd be sitting on the floor, and I would just be listening to Drake talk for like an hour and going his things. And he shared some of his personal life stuff with me as well, which was nice because we didn't know each other that well. But I will say the one just really cool thing about Drake, because of who he was and what he was, and just the comparison, in my opinion, was just not even in the same. But he would always go out of his way to say hi to me, and he didn't have to. Like my last memory of Drake, which is another positive one, was when I came back to Salem in 2000, when I came back for John's for Victor's memorial. It was like my first day, one of my first days, and I was stepping the Brady pub. They were rehearsing in the Brady pub, and Drake was in the Brady pub with some people, and I was waiting for my turn. I was waiting for them to leave, so it was during lunch. It was dry blocking. Right. It was a lunch drive. It was the crew. It was dark, and we were in a street clothes, and Drake was on set, and I was way away from him. I mean, I was coming in way wide, and because I was going to come in, because they were going to step downstage. They were going to step off, and I was going to come in to get ready to do my stuff. And I'm coming wide, and mind you, it's dark. The lights aren't on. I'm coming wide, and Drake looked up, and he walked past everybody and came over to me and said, "Hey man, thanks for playing with us. Thanks for coming and playing with us again." And he shook me and gave me a bro hug. But he was done. Like he didn't need to still be on set. And he came over to say hi to me as I was entering the set. And I was just like, wow, like, okay, you don't even have to be looking at me. Like there's no, And that was my last interaction with him. And it was cool because I hadn't been here in a while, and that made me feel welcome. Like the star is coming over and going, "Welcome back, man. Cool. Thanks for doing some stuff here. You're welcome. Thank you." Like it was like, "Thank you." So that's a perfect story
of who he is. You just said it. Like that is what he meant to so many people in the cast, and what he would do. And when you talk to so many people, it's exactly that experience. He would make them feel welcome. People felt part of the show when Drake welcomed them.
Yeah.
It changed the way they saw things. They felt better. He had an amazing way of doing that. I loved him so much. I knew him for so long. We were very good friends. All my surgeries, him and I talked about, we went through so many spinal surgeries, neck surgeries, all the things I'd gone through. Drake had gone through similar things. We'd compare surgeons and talk. I mean, but he was just that way. Yeah. And then he was like that with everybody here.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Paul Telfer and Linsey Godfrey were on the red carpet with me at Day of Days. You're scene partners. They love you. They love working with you because you're so unpredictable, and it's fun working with you. That's what they're saying. You make it exciting, right? Because you have a twist on how you say dialogue that is unexpected, or a way you do things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But how is it playing with Paul? Because he said he just loves working with you. He loves getting into like fight scenes or verbal fight scenes or whatever it is. What is it like doing that? Now you're battling brothers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's it's just never, if the dull moments don't last very long if we can help it. God, where do I start? Okay. Here's the difficult part working with Paul. I want to screw around with him all the time on set. We talk about movies all the time. I could say, he's better at it than I am. I can say the tiniest little line from some movie from 40 years ago, and he is right there with me. He knows exactly what I just quoted. We speak the same language,
Right, you're in
okay? And it's difficult to shut that down when there's work to be done. Between action and cut, we're not John Paul and Paul. I've never
John Paul and Paul.
Yeah, John Paul. Wow, I'm hearing it for the first.
Do they call you JP or John Paul?
I'm going to tell you, and I'm tell the world, I don't have a preference.
But when they call you, when they say, "Hey, so and so," is it JP?
JP.
Come to set.
They call me this. They call me JP.
Okay.
JP to set. Yeah. But they call me JP to set.
So you're JP and he's Paul.
Right. Oh,
That's what I'm saying. They don't go like John Paul, Paul. Do they go like John Paul,
No.
Paul?
In fact, I don't think I've ever heard John Paul come over the speaker ever, even if I'm with or without Paul. But like in my dressing room, Paul and I were just constantly we just this movie, this actor, this line from this, we get all of it. There's never like, I know what that's for. And it's really hard to stop that during the scene. But we're professionals and we do, and I'm joking. I mean, it is because we've run our lines so much and you rehearse and everything like that. We are good to go when it comes to the scene. But in between the scenes, in between cut and the next action, when we're blocking or we're rehearsing or whatever, it's difficult to because we know we're not taping the scene. You want to fall back into, okay, here's what we're going to talk about now. But we can't because there's still work to be done. So that's why it's difficult to work with Paul, because all I want to do is let's talk about this. Like we were talking about Spinal Tap this morning. We're like, I want to keep talking about Spinal Tap, but we can't because we have to go action, boom, and that's hard because Paul gets me so excited because I'm so impressed with his. I'm so impressed that I say something so out of the blue, and he's like, yeah, and he'll say the next line. I'm like, how do you know that? Because he does, because he's a genius. And so to know, it's hard to you gotta just, that's gone during the scene.
What is Philip?
That makes it difficult. But
what does Philip think of Xander though? Like, where is he coming from at this point? Like, I don't care about this guy. I'm gonna take this whole thing over. Like, there's no brotherly love there.
But I think he wants there to be. I think
so too.
Yin and yang. It's fun to have, but I think that if Philip could wave a magic wand, he would well, not to be a narcissist, but I think if Philip could wave a magic wand, he wishes Xander would be a little more like him and level-headed. And this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. Be more like me. Why aren't you thinking like this? So I think in a perfect world, Philip would like Xander to genuinely, like, we're going to be together and we're going to do this together. I don't think
they're not going to be in harmony ever.
Hopefully not.
Right.
Then we could have a lot of fun. No, yeah, I don't think no, because that's, you can't.
It's not a soap opera though.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Why am I? There's no,
But how mischievous?
Yes.
How in the, like, is this version of Philip the most manipulative, scheming version that we've seen, or do you feel as time goes on we're going to like him more and more?
I hope,
yes,
that, and I do say this again without. I do hope that people always at least kind of like Philip,
Right. 'cause
I hope they don't. I hope I'm not completely hated by like
The
I
audience.
I hope hate isn't all somebody would feel towards Philip.
Right.
Even if somebody hates me, how about this? Even if somebody like really hates me, I hope they're enjoying hating me. I hope I hope they like to hate me.
They like to hate you.
Like I hate this guy, but I'm watching him because I want to see more stuff to hate. Maybe I can get if I'm giving you more things to hate and you're not at least you're watching, and you're interested, then I guess you could hate me a lot. Mostly hate me.
Now, what is Linsey Godfrey like to work with for you? So here she comes, because she's a dynamo herself, right? Okay.
Again, it's hard to shut it down when I'm on set with her. And okay, coming in, here's the deal. Actually, when I came back, I had to John Paul, I was assessing the Xander Sarah relationship. I was like, what am I coming into? I need to see what I'm stepping into. And I was looking at their relationship, and she had actually just gone into a wheelchair at the time, so there was a lot of empathy there, and them having a child, which I also try to play, which we can or cannot get to, but just subtext and things. But I try to treat Sarah I try to treat everybody with different. You don't talk to your mom the same way you talk to your friend. I try to. Everybody is a different entity and a different piece and a different part, right? And I try to give Sarah. Actually some of the most genuine respect that I give any other character. Even my mom, I would say. There's something about I've chosen. There's something about Sarah, and it's her being the mother with an heir with the bloodline, and I need to make good. I need her to like me because of Xander and just the safety and of the household. But it is genuine. So I give Sarah. I almost pedestal Sarah. I've tried to pedestal Sarah quite a bit more than anybody else, and I treat her. I definitely give myself a lesser feeling of self when I'm with her. She's in the room. It's her room. I try to give her the room inside. And, but that being said, we're very goofy together in real life. And not until I had been back for a few months, did I learn that she also likes to talk goofy and say stupid stuff. I'm going to talk like this and get out of here. You're in my stupid chair. We'll be silly. And I didn't know that because for the first couple months I was staying at arm's length, very professional. You play Sarah, I'm Philip, but then you get more comfortable with people and you talk a little bit more instead of just running lines. You start to ask little questions like, so what'd you do this weekend? That kind of stuff. And through that, we learned that we literally speak. We literally like to speak in the same voice, sort of. So now knowing that when we're on set, I want to do that, which I can't because there's work to be done.
Right, the directors must see that the three of you were in scenes and they're like, oh no.
But I hope. I try to keep the chit chat to a minimum when we're on stage, right? But it's so hard. So sometimes Linsey or Paul, they'll say something that will spark something JP wants to say, but I'm like, I can't say anything because we're gonna go off on a tangent. I can't. It drives me nuts because I I can't. You just said something neat, and I really want to play with you right now, but we can't. I can't because at the top of the next scene, I've got a big paragraph to say. So if I oftentimes I could see how, as an outsider or even them, might look at me on stage and go, he's so closed off. He's so standoffish. That's just me trying to stay in it until the scenes are over, and then I can open up the suit. Yeah. And she gets me because she's so funny. She's so smart. She's so goofy. I say it openly. She's so goofy, and I love it. And I'm like, my tongue is like bruised because I can't. I want to say what's coming and what you just said, but I can't. I mean, I could, but then I risk blowing the scene, blowing what I have to do. So, it's a fun energy. And to be honest, now you got me thinking, and very few, if any, have I met somebody like Linsey. She's, and she was a stranger. I had never met her before. Well, also that actually also kind of helped me giving the Sarah Philip dynamic, but I didn't know Linsey
At all.
at all.
Right.
Like she really was a
New
complete
person
stranger.
to you.
Although she did tell me after, she's like, we actually did meet JP once, and I went, oh, we did. She did tell me that, yeah, but it was and I'm, oh yeah, we did actually meet. She said in 2010. I think she said we met in 2010 at an event here in Los Angeles. I was not even living
You
here
weren't
yet,
living here yet.
but there was a bunch of people, and she was like, there was a bunch of people. She goes, and I did briefly meet you, but her hair was even a different color. So that's my alibi. Your hair was different.
Your hair was different. There is rumors, Philip has had a past with Stephanie.
Mhm.
So many of us believe that he's going to have a relationship with her in 2025. And people would love to see that, actually, because that relationship originally just didn't pan out. They were together for a year, and I think it just fell apart.
Yeah.
From what I understand. And then there was also Belle. He had a relationship with Belle.
Mhm.
Did you look into the past of their relationships do you even look into read the story without, in other words, do you look into the past? I know you're not looking at video,
Right.
but are you reading the background on this, or it doesn't matter?
But no, it does matter.
And how's Abigail to work with? Because I love her. She's a sweet girl. Oh wait, there's a story with her. She met you in 2010.
Yeah. She was my landlord back in 2003. Rent. This is so stupid, but I gave her a nickname, which is totally innocent, but she hates it. And so anytime I want to get her attention, I say this word. It's a name, actually. It's a name. It's a human female name that you could speak in public, but she just for some reason she hates it. It'd be this isn't it, but it's like calling her Jen. I go, hey Jen, and she'll just go, don't call me that. It's that kind of thing. Okay. And I don't know why she hates it, because it's fine for me. So anytime, whether we're shooting scenes or not, if you bring up if I know I want to get her attention because I want her to hear something, I will call her this name. And I've never done that with anybody else before, but she genuinely hates it. She's like somebody, whoever's in the room will go, they'll turn to Abigail and go, why are you acting like that? Because JP just said this name and he knows I hate it. I'm like, yeah, she does. I don't know why. So anyway, and then I tell my story, but I got your attention. You put your phone down, didn't you? Anyway, you have to ask her about that. What is? I don't want to say it because obviously, yeah. But it's just a name. It'd be like calling me David. David. Stop calling me David. What?
Does Philip?
But I will answer your question. So again, as I said, I try to treat everyone. I try to give a different, and hopefully, I don't know how much of it reads from as the viewer, but as the actor, it's important that we make choices and decisions, and whether they're seen or not. But Abigail, Stephanie, with her, I did. But to answer your question, I will admit, I've never actually read printed storyline. But I do ask, so I hear it from people's mouths, directors, producers, even actors.
In 2009,
exactly. Right? And I'm like, tell me, and they'll give me a rundown, or even before a scene, somebody go, oh, by the way, so do you remember like 6 years ago she hid you in a closet? They'll give you some kind of, and you go, okay, and then action. So at least you got something. So though that siphons through along the time. Days that you just get little more pieces, or even other actors. Some actors are really good. They'll remember storylines that they weren't even involved in at all, but it'll help me. I'm making this up, but Paul Telfer will know things about Philip that he wasn't involved in, but he's like, you did this stuff. Who's really good at? Martha's really good at it. Martha will remember things that people did that she was, and she'll go, this is what happened with those people, yada yada yada. I wasn't involved in it, but this is what, and you're like, oh, okay, good. I need to know this for me. Okay, good. It's the
one that I always thought when I came to the set that knew everyone's story and everything was Allison Sweeney.
Really?
We did a game show when I was working here because I did the dual app, and I put this. It was a game with Deidre Hall, her, and Greg Vaughn, and it was like which brother or sister said this. It was like a game show, and she knew everything that everybody had gone through and every story, and then she even corrected me. She goes, "That's not right. It was in 2001." Not just like she knew dates. She's like amazing. Drake was like that too. He knew a lot about. When I would sit with Deidre and Drake could rattle off. Remember in 2007 when we went to the da-da-da-da? Like, they remember everything. I don't know why I just said that, but.
So the Stephanie.
No,
tobacco. Yeah. I don't like loose ends. I like to make sure we cover things as they go. But I know I go off on tangents.
Stephanie.
I chose.
Does Philip, he likes her.
Yeah. No,
a lot.
I chose. When I came, this is going back to to March or April April, May. But I chose when I learned about the past that Philip and Stephanie had. When I learned about the Philip and Stephanie past, I decided that Stephanie, Abigail, that she's the one that I really want to be with. I really have the hots for this one. I really want to make this one work again. And I mean, to put it bluntly, I want us to have babies. I kind of put that in my head. I want to have babies with Stephanie, with this person. That was the decision that John Paul made for Philip going into our stuff, which I, at least at that time, hadn't even thought about with anybody else. So she was in that category she was in that lane. That was the lane I put her in.
Is it fun working with her?
Well,
it's different. It's
incredibly different because of that subtext.
Right.
I don't treat Xander that way.
So stakes are a bit higher for him in a different way.
Stakes.
In a different way.
Good. Stakes are just as high, but in a different way.
Right.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Look at you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Martha Madison Bell. What is his relationship with her?
As of now, I have put the lane that Bell is in is good, strong, respectable friendship. We're very good friends. We have each other's back.
Which they do, right?
We've got all the things from the past, but we're grown-ups, we're adults. We're doing our things. You know what? I think I've almost put Belle in the category of I gotta hide a body. Who do I call? That's it's 3 a.m.
Who do I call?
I gotta hide this body. What Belle? I gotta call Belle. Belle,
and she would have your back. She has had Philip's
that's
back. That's a great
her
analogy.
position.
She's had her back. She's had his back. Vice versa. I think through the years.
Sure.
That's pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the moms.
I love it. The moms.
The moms. So
yep.
What was it like working with Louise Sorel? And you knew the complicated history of Philip's birth, right? And you know about that.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. The carrying the
surrogate and then the
embryo. The
yeah.
embryo was
right.
I actually had never really met Louise. I had never really met her. A year and a half ago, when I was back for Victor's thing, she came back. She had this big sweeping entrance, and it was like she owned the room for
right.
And even though her and I, we had scenes where she was tugging me in, she was bringing me into her arms, she was referring to me, and I was on stage with all the big swingers, and I hadn't met her, and she had a lot of stuff. I don't know how many episodes, 1 or 2 episodes. Louise had a lot of lines. She had a lot of work to do, and I didn't know her, and I didn't want to screw around on set anyway. So my only first interaction with her was serious business on stage. She's got a lot of stuff to say, and I had very little to say, which sometimes is more difficult because if you only have 1 line or 2 lines here and there, you don't, and somebody else has big chunks, you want to make sure you don't drop the ball because then you don't have to have to do their parts again. So it was a big focused time working with her in March of 2023. So I didn't really know her. I didn't really get to know her. There was almost no hello and no goodbye. But this past, when I've come back now, I saw that I was going to be working with her again, and I went, "Oh,
that was early on, right? When you first
extreme,
right at the front,
right out the get
9 months ago."
Yeah, right. So I didn't. We had never really spoken, and long story short, we have so much in common. I didn't know that she was a New Yorker. We know a lot of the same people in real life. My second favorite show is The Golden Girls, and her husband was on the show, which I had no idea. So that opened up a whole like, what? So the stories and her Broadway stories, her theater stories, and what she is one of my favorite kinds of human beings to spend time with. I could live with her. I could see her every single day. What are you doing? Just sit, tell me. See, I'm going to shut up, muzzle me,
and you talk.
Thank you, kind of thing. Just she's and you don't get this with everybody, which is fine. Everyone has their own way. We ran our lines over and over, and we ran our lines so much, and it was just so pleasant and wonderful.
You like that though, right?
I
mean, you're one that likes to run, right?
I run my lines after we tape them.
That's right.
I don't stop. I want to run them over and over and over again to the point where you're mad, like, JP, I can't do this.
Right, I want to do this.
Okay, let's do it one more time.
Right.
And she was one of those people. It was just like, can we run? It was like, I would go up to her, can we run lines? She goes, yes, I would love to run lines. Good, because I would love to run lines too. So when her and I were together on a work day, we spent most of that day together until our scenes were over. Like we ran them as a lot. And it was, which made me feel good. So she helped me, I helped her. And I really, and then therefore I really enjoyed being on stage with her. It's like, yay, now we're here, and now we're doing it. Like, it was like the icing on the cake. Like everything else, it's like, and people get to see us doing stuff. That's cool too. So
they're wrapping me, but I have a couple less. But one thing I have to tell you is, you do know Robin Strasser played Vivian. That
was one of our connections. That's what opened.
And I couldn't wait to talk to you because Robin, I know, of course, you know Robin.
Yeah.
Robin played Vivian.
That, Robin, since you brought it up, is what started what I think started our friendship ball rolling. If I hope to say we have a friendship. One of my first, Louise and I were sitting somewhere, and this is how it happened. She said to me, she goes, I live in New York. She said that. She goes, well, I live in New York. And of course when she told me where she lived, she said where she lived. And I said, immediately my mind went to Robin Strasser, because Robin kind of lived in that area. And I just thought, because New York's huge, but if you live on 59th and Madison, you might see somebody on 60th and Madison. I don't know. You go to Bloomies? Yeah, I go to Bloomies. Like, it's like that kind of thing. So when Louise told me where she lived, I went, do you know Robin Strasser? Swear to God. I went, do you know Robin Strasser? And she went, here you go. And I went, oh. And then we went from there, and we
Robin
were married.
The common denominator.
Yeah, right. Robin Strasser brings everyone together.
Quickly before we have to wrap, a few words about working with your mom, Lauren Koslow, your other mom on the show, who's been here for a long time, and how is she to work with and developing that relationship with Lauren?
Smooth. Lauren and I spend a lot of time Lauren and I talk a lot. We almost get really philosophical at times. So another different gear that I have with anybody else. Her and I talk about life stuff, Well, we actually talk a lot about music.
Of course you do, because you've gone into her room, right? Her dressing room is rocker
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
David
And
Bowie.
she always has a rock and roll shirt on.
Always.
So her and I talk about music a lot, old school rock and roll. We talk about very strange humor. She likes very weird, funny stuff. So and again, we talk about light. We actually her the I do feel a genuine mother-son relationship with her, because I will sometimes in her room, I will bring forth a concept or an idea from my world, and then she gives me like the motherly female kind of like, well, here's how I see it from my eyes. And listen to me, John Paul, listen to me. You need to understand that, she'll and I'll go, oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize, I didn't see it that way. So she opens up options as to on like just life stuff, which gives a mother son, because I'm a grown man, right? And she's so there. I'm not a young boy going, Mom, I don't want, like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, oh, that's interesting. So there's that flavor, and then when we're on stage, that I continue with that. Of course, we have to say our words and our storylines have to get played, but I do still feel that like wisdom with her, and just oh yeah, but there's I feel very, very much a back and forth mother-son with Lauren, which I don't know if I would feel, which I don't know if I don't, it's a moot point, but if her and I didn't have that one-on-one, that real one-on-one time in our room, I don't know if I would feel it on stage. I don't know, but I do. And it's because of that. And that's great.
So here's my final wrap-up question. We loved you as Rex Balsom in One Life to Live for so many years, and you had to say goodbye to that show. And then it was about 3 years later that you came to Days, right? It was about 2012. The show ended on TV. You probably wrapped in 2011.
Very end of 2011. So I'd say 3.5 years. I'd say 3.5. So from start to finish.
On One Life, he at first, Rex wasn't the greatest guy. He was a bit questionable as a person, and then he became beloved by the audience over time.
To interrupt you, when I first joined One Life to Live, one of the things that I remember, Hillary Smith, one of the first things that she ever said to me in the makeup room, I just entered, she turns to me, she goes, so are you a good witch or a bad witch? Which is great, right? It's so great. And I forgot that I remember that I had that moment just recently. There's a young actress here that joined, and
she said, are you good?
I said it to her,
and
now I've become now
you're the Hillary B. Smith.
I'm the Hillary B. Smith, yeah. And I didn't even know that I was going to say it until I said it, and it was from my vault from Hillary from 2000. This is 2001, 2002. There was this young actress just joined, and I never speak to her. I haven't worked with her, so we don't cross paths. But there's this new person, and she was sitting on a couch, and I was coming into block, and I just turned to her and I introduced myself. I go, we haven't met yet. And she introduced herself, and I said, are you a good witch or a bad witch? And as I said it, I was actually kind of happy with myself. Yeah. And she's like, so she gave the same, she actually gave the same kind of answer I did, which was just like, well, I'm really bad, but I want to be good, but I'm having, I'm a difficult time finding my way, that kind of thing. So, yes, he was, anyway, I cut you off. Was I good? I started out as a bad witch.
Right, you're a good witch. Yeah. But that whole journey, and it was such a wonderful role, and they did write for it, and they wrote to your strengths and what you took with that role. Did you always feel maybe even coming into another show that you couldn't top what was done there? And then creating a new path for yourself, another show. Did you feel that might be difficult for you because Rex was so fantastic as a character and what you did with it?
I didn't consider the comparison of what I had done compared to what I could do. I didn't think of it that way, but I will say I was fearful that I wouldn't be able to do it again, because I knew it's a lot of stuff. I was like, because I had 3 years is a short amount of time, but it's also a long amount of time to be removed from something where you're like, wait, can I go back into the
routine.
early, like the alarm clock and by the way, it was also still, I didn't know LA very well, the topography, if that's the word, but the geography,
Right.
like just the whole, like what roads go where. And I was still kind of, I just didn't know if I could pull it off. And I also was afraid that my muscle had weakened, had atrophied or whatever. So it was really intimidating. And I will say, and I say this, and I mean this, Days of Our Lives is like one of the most famous shows on the planet ever of all time. And I've always known that. So for it to have been Days of, because, every soap magazine, like all the, it ruled. It did. And it does. And it was just like, it was a big deal. So it was a big deal to see Days of Our Lives and to have that now with my name near it.
When you left One Life, did you feel you completed everything you wanted to do with Rex? Did you feel like you know what I mean? Did you feel like you did, right? Kind of, sort of? Or did you feel there was?
That's a good question.
When you wrapped and went out the door.
Yeah. Wow. Because I went through so much. He went through so much. He time traveled. It was so fun.
Time traveled.
I learned that you're supposed to wear a wetsuit when the prop guy, when the stunt man offers you a wetsuit. Bob Woods, he says, take the wetsuit. If they give you a wetsuit, I didn't take the wetsuit, and I was freezing cold in the rain. We had a rain scene when we time traveled. If there was all of a sudden like a One Life to Live
reboot 3.0,
a movie, a limited series or something, and it was and I had the opportunity to be a part of it. If we had like a table read, I'll tell you, a table read with like 25 of the One Life to Live people, I would be ear to ear grinning. It would be so fun. It would be really
get through it.
lightning. Oh, yeah. You wouldn't be able to get through it. We wouldn't be able to get through it. Yeah, sitting around like, well, look at that. And then just how all the memories coming back.
But there's not a table read you would not go back.
I'm not going on a table. Times the car. But to backtrack to answer your question, I do now. I do. When the show ended, when Rex and his family left town, I will say, in hindsight now, that I'm satisfied. I'm fulfilled. I don't go, God, no, I still need it to. There's that unfinished. I'm cool. I'm good with closing that book. However, if there was volume 2,
you'd be intrigued.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I mean,
and you've never watched any of yourself as Rex Balsom?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Because that's over. That's over.
Oh, see, people, this is okay. Okay, so when it's over, if you did a film, you could watch it now.
But it is fun to go back. It's like going back in a scrapbook. It's like flipping back into a scrapbook.
Right.
Yeah. I will say I don't personally sit at home in the dark with the yeah. It's the pictures that got smaller. No. Anybody? But sometimes I'll have a gathering in my house, poker, for example. Every now and then there will be somebody in my house that will put One Life to Live up on YouTube, and all of a sudden, like
you're playing poker and One Life comes up to throw you off.
I don't know why. Oh, I don't know why they do it. Maybe they do it.
I'm thinking
I never win when that happens.
So One Life
to Live has been up on my television. The remote wasn't in my hand when it happened.
Okay.
So and then I watch, and then I go, and actually, you know what? This is sometimes I'll watch some of my stuff and I go, well, I do it in real life, but I'll go, why am I talking so fast? I'm talking too fast. I'll judge myself. I turn this off. I'm talking too fast. I'm not good. This wasn't good. Why am I talking too fast? Say it slower. Feel it more. There's sometimes where I don't think anyway, but yeah.
Wow.
I was 24.
It's so great to talk to you. Thank you so much for sitting down here with me. And I'm so glad you're back on Days of Our Lives. And you're 9 months ahead. We haven't even seen everything that's going to happen. And you would probably say it's going to be quite exciting. Interesting.
I would say it's going to be quite exciting.
Quite exciting.
Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't.
It keeps going.
And yeah, now what? Wait, now what? What? But now what? That's
we
cool.
may hate him, but we might like him. That's what I've gleaned from this interview.
He's a good witch, bad
He's
witch.
a good witch, bad witch. Right in time for Wicked. So there you go.
Right, which wasn't
planned.
No, it wasn't.
Right. Okay. Watch JP weekdays on Days of Our Lives streaming on Peacock. Thanks, JP.